Hello all. Welcome to Mysteries with Divina. I am your host, Divina Shea, and today we're going to be talking about another serial killer. And for today's story, we're going to travel across the pond for Mr. Werner Boost. Born May 6th of 1928 in Germany, somewhere. Not much is known about his family, only that he was an illegitimate child, and he began his life of crime at a young age. He started stealing at age 6, spending several years in a home for delinquents near Magdeburg. He was a child prodigy, you could say. Released from military service near the end of World War II, and by 1950, Boost had transferred his crooked career to Dusseldorf, where he served a prison sentence for stealing metal fittings from graves. He had a morbid sense about him from the beginning. He was also an accomplished marksman. By the end of the decade, his deadly accuracy in firing Wild West style from the hip would be making headlines throughout both Germanys. You can't let that military training go to waste, that's all I'm saying. Boost acquired a friend, Franz Lorbach, who would later tell police that Werner hypnotized him and compelled him to participate in heinous crimes against his will. In the beginning, they were merely chums who went out target shooting and graduating to the robbery of couples found in isolated spots. Boost managed to concoct a drug with which he rendered victims senseless, stealing from the men and raping their companions and forcing poor Franz to participate. So he says. On January 17th of 1953, a lawyer named Burns Serve was sitting with a young male companion in a stationary car on a quiet road leading out of Dusseldorf. As they talked, the two masked figures appeared out of the night, one bludgeoning the 19-year-old with the butt of his gun, the other shooting Dr. Serve through the head, and it was later remarked that the ballistics expert had noticed that the bullet had taken an unusual trajectory, entering the body below the left jaw and leaving through the right temple, seemingly fired from below the victim as he sat in the driver's seat of the car. Interesting. That'll be important later. The crime that was to earn our beloved Werner Boost the nickname the Dusseldorf Doubles Killer was discovered in November 1955. A 26-year-old baker, Friedkin Bear, and his girlfriend Thea had been missing for 4 weeks when villagers from Kalkum, this is just beyond Dusseldorf, found 2 battered bodies trapped in their car in the water-filled gravel pit. Like Dr. Serve and his friend, this couple had been robbed. With no light yet illuminating either case, the second doubles murder was committed on February 7th of 1956. A 20-year-old secretary and her companion Peter Falkenberg had been reported missing, and police found their extensively blood-stained car the following day. On the day after that, which would be the 9th, 2 bodies later identified as the missing couple were found badly burnt in the smoldering remains of a haystack. Both victims had been bludgeoned, and Falken had been shot through the head with the same odd angle that had been observed in the Dr. Serve case. His next attempt at a double murder took place in May of the same year in some woods near Dusseldorf. Luckily for the potential victims, the young woman alerted passerby with her screams for help, and the 2 attackers fled. By plain coincidence, or perhaps divine irony, it was in those same woods at Bush that a forest ranger on patrol saw and apprehended an armed man who appeared to be tracking a young couple. And what, might you say, was that man's name? Werner Boost. Boost had surrendered to the ranger without a struggle because, as he said, he had committed no offense. He indignantly denied any part in the recent series of attacks and murders and defied the police to prove otherwise. And they might have had a difficult job doing so if it wasn't for Boost's very unwilling partner in crime, good old Franz. Franz had made a statement in which he confessed his own part in the murders and was oh so kind as to implicate Mr. Werner Boost as well. Boost, he said, had, as I mentioned earlier, hypnotized him into complicity on pain of his life. He exposed the bizarre fantasy world into which Boost had dragged him, with drugs and poison, and which Boost dreamed that he would find the perfect method of murder. Good old Franz told police of one plan to float cyanide-filled balloons into prospective victims' cars. There was also a string of non-fatal rapes and assaults against courting couples who, for reasons best known to himself, Boost considered immoral and degenerate. Oh, is that so? So these couples that he's preying upon are somehow immoral and degenerate, but he's not? Funny. Very funny. You'd think that murder was the most degenerate sin of all. But anyway, Werner Boost was eventually brought to trial in 1959 and sentenced to life imprisonment. For his contribution, Franz was put away for 6 years. He got off not too bad for all the horrible things that they did together. And get this man, this Werner Boost, he's still alive. He's 94 years old now. He should be going any day now. And then he's going to have to face somebody worse. And that, my friends, concludes today's story. And now we're moving on to, I know, you've been waiting for it, the answer to last week's riddle. Alrighty, the answer to last week's riddle is, the man was a lighthouse operator. He wasn't supposed to turn off his lights. When he wakes up in the morning, he sees a giant ship that has crashed into the land, causing much catastrophe. And unable to go on, he decides to take his own life. And now, for this week's riddle. A woman shoots her husband, then holds him underwater for 5 minutes. A little while later, they both get out and enjoy a wonderful dinner together. How can this be? If you think you know the answer, please leave it in the comments. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoy this kind of content and you'd like to hear me talk about more crazy psychopathic serial killers, I got you covered. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time.